I'm Louie Sabatasso, and today we'll be talking to Cesar Silva for the next half hour. Cesar? I've known Cesar for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You have one of the more interesting stories. Your parents are from Mexico.
Yeah.
They were immigrants from Mexico.
Yeah, you know, crossing the borders, jumping borders, deserts, all that.
They literally crossed the desert.
It took my mom 2 times.
Where did she cross?
I think it was like over by Arizona or something. I'm not too sure. I don't remember exactly where. It's Arizona or Texas, I think is where they usually cross when they do that whole desert thing.
When was this?
Probably in the 70s, because my other brother, my older brother, he's like 8 years older. I think he was born here. So yeah, it's probably like early 70s. This whole country was founded on illegal crossing. So it's like, how deep do we want to get on the situation? So I tend not to go down too far like the rabbit hole.
So your mom, and I'm assuming that your dad crossed too?
Yeah.
So you are the first child then with your parents, with both of your parents.
Yeah.
Where'd your parents meet?
I'm not even sure. They might have met in Mexico. They might have met in LA. It's funny. I don't really know too much.
It's some sort of like a dance, sort of like American Me style.
Yeah. Maybe up in the hills.
Did you see that? Do you remember the movie Blood In, Blood Out and American Me?
It's my two of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Well,
alongside with Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, I love Boys in the Hood. How old were you when your dad died?
24, 25,
Oh, okay.
26, somewhere around there. It was like my first, second year sobriety.
And how did he die?
Alcoholism. He died from sclerosis.
He got cirrhosis of the liver?
Yeah.
Liver cancer.
Yeah.
Was he around for your adolescence and your teenage years? Was your dad around?
In and out.
Back and forth?
Yeah, he was in jail a lot.
He was in jail?
Yeah, he was always in jail. We'd always go visit him in jail. I remember so many times going to visit him.
Where?
He would end up in prison, in county, in detention center, in the feds. I remember being involved with that stuff, and my dad was fucking nuts.
Is this all in Torrance?
No, I grew up in Culver City.
You grew up in
I was
Culver
born
City.
in Torrance at the UCLA hospital, but my whole life I was in Culver City.
Okay.
Same place.
Yeah.
I've always lived in this one little corner. And my dad would come in and out of jail, and every time he'd come out, he was like trying to fly straight and go to church, and he wouldn't drink. And all of a sudden he'd crack open a Budweiser, and then comes the Bud Lights, and then the King Cobras. And then it was always just a downward spiral.
Would he hit the crack at that point?
So basically, he would disappear. So I remember there'd be times that my mom would take me and my little brother to go look for him in South Central. And we'd pull up to some house, and there was like this Crip named Ronnie or something like that. And he'd come out,
Wow.
full braids, cane, the whole thing. And she would jump out the car and go talk to him. And me and my little brother would just sit there and watch what was going on. And she's talking to him, and he's just like, nope, nope, nope. And she'd come back in the car.
How much younger was your little brother?
2 years.
2 years, right?
Yeah.
You guys were close?
Super close.
Super close to your little brother.
Yeah.
Where would you visit your dad in where would he go to county? Would you go to county and then you visit him in prison, like up at Wayside? And
LA County.
Okay.
LA County. I think this is before Wayside. I think Wayside was like fairly new. Because we visit him at Old County. And then also at the detention center in San Pedro.
Okay.
You know, you cross the bridge and there's on the Terminal Island.
So you have your older brother who's a half brother. Was he around?
Who, my older brother?
Yeah, your older half brother.
Yeah, my older brother used to fight with my dad all the time.
Okay, so he was around.
Yeah.
Was he sort of the father
He was like
figure,
the
when,
father figure.
when your dad wasn't around?
Yeah. He was also involved kind of with gangs and partying a little bit, but he never went full in.
You got involved in gangs.
I went all the way in. Yeah.
You went all the way in.
I went all the way in.
How old are you?
When I first started? Probably around like 15.
15?
Yeah.
In Culver City?
Yeah.
Why did you get involved with the gang?
It was around me. My neighbors used to actually be gang members. So they used to smoke weed, and I remember them rolling up zigzags and bumping Snoop Dogg and writing on the walls, and you would walk in there and look around the whole room, and the whole room was all tagged up. I was like, fuck.
And you like that.
It is tight. Mexican gangs are different.
Mexican gangs are different?
Everyone holds their own. There's really no seniority. There is like there is the older homies and then the young homies, and then everyone starts to kind of earn their stripes as they go along, and they put in work and they get validated and they become, you know, a part of the inner circle.
What sort, when you said you had to put in work, what does that mean? People don't know what we're talking about when we say put in work.
so that's what we call it in gang terminology. It's called putting in work, and putting in work means that you're essentially doing the things that you need to do to be a full-time gang member. And what gang members do, gang members create, you know, havoc in the streets. Is it exactly hurting people, or is it, you know, being on the opposing side, on opposition, or...
I'm not saying hurting people without purpose. There's purpose, but you have to be willing, show your willingness
absolutely
to sacrifice yourself for the gang and for your brothers.
It's just like picture yourself like signing up on this form and be like, it's like going in the army, right? It's like you have to be ready to fight.
Lay down your life for your...
Your life might be gone tomorrow. It could be gone at any moment. Either you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail, you're going to end up 6 feet under, or you might go crazy.
Obviously, there's alcohol and drugs involved with that life. When did that start?
Right away, at the very beginning. I mean, I had already been introduced to alcohol before I even got introduced to gangs, because I'm Mexican, it's in the family, my dad, you know, family parties, mezcal, tequila, casadores.
But not everybody who's Mexican is an alcoholic.
No.
So it's not just I'm Mexican or I'm just, so there's something, all this is going on with you, but there's something different about you and the way you're drinking too at this point.
Right, well, the thing is that you gotta look, I'm coming into this situation that's on high alert, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dangerous shit going on that I've been looking at and I've been introduced to. So in order to find a balance in that, you almost need that via drugs, via alcohol, to create some kind of balance between the two, so you can find comfort on your way in, because that shit is scary. Don't get me wrong. That shit is, there's a lot of things involved. You're looking at drugs, guns, fighting, violence, shootings, all those things, running from cops. You know, it's like...
Let's start with the violence. You were stabbed and shot a number of different occasions?
I was shot.
Shot.
Not stabbed, but yeah, I was shot like 7 times.
7 different occasions, or?
2 different occasions, 7 times total.
We'll be right back with Cesar Silva. We're now going to have a state of the recovery business conversation with Andrew Spanswick, the owner of Klean, who is our primary sponsor. There is a cancer right now on the recovery industry. It's body brokering. It's people being paid to relapse so they could recharge the insurance company.
Right.
All these sober livings that are popping up and being paid for by IOPs.
Yeah, and it's
and
honestly,
that's illegal.
It's hurt Klean substantially. That type of behavior, that criminal behavior, has made a huge impact on our census. It's bouncing back now because a lot of those people are going to jail, but a lot of people died and a lot of people got hurt during this period of lack of regulation and lack of law enforcement.
People have called it like the Wild West. It's like it became like the Wild West.
It
in
is.
The recovery
You know
business.
what the Wild West is? The Wild West is a place where there's no enforcement of the laws, right? In the Wild West, it's still legal to shoot somebody, but if nobody's around, who the hell cares, right? So that's sort of what's going on right now. Finally, the federal government is stepping in, and they're using RICO statutes to deal with body brokering and other scams and kickbacks and all this kind of stuff. And they're using RICO statutes, so what's dangerous for people like myself that do it honestly and have been doing honestly is that RICO statutes, if anyone that I'm involved with that might be doing it, even without my knowledge, I become a third party to that, and I'm still under the RICO statute. So I could actually be indicted for something that I don't know anything about as a legitimate running operator. So it's making us have to be extra cautious, and we're having to bring all of our services in-house. Marketing becomes not just a way to tell people about the type of help we can offer and show them that there's a solution to their problems and that we can get them better. But now it also becomes a huge business risk management issue where I have to make sure that nothing is said that's incorrect at the call center or with our marketers. And it's hard for me to monitor all those people. So we have to record all that and review it. And it's just another thing that takes away time from me and clinicians and other people that are trying to provide real solutions. But it's a necessary part, unfortunately, in this world because when this much money starts flowing around easily, when people feel that they don't really have to provide a real solution, they just have to have a fancy product with some branding, and they just have to pay to get clients, or they have to pay Google a bunch of money to get a referral, that becomes an opportunity for people to scam money out of people.
Now we're back with Cesar Silva. How many times were you shot the first time you got shot?
Six times.
You got shot 6 times?
Yeah, with the AK-47.
How old were you then?
16. Fun times.
Where'd you get shot?
In the projects.
No, where in your body?
Both arms, my back, 3 times in the leg. Left at the bottom of the creek. Left for dead.
And where was this?
In Culver City, in the projects.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just one of those nights. It's one of those nights when you're out there, you're running around, you're drinking, you're getting into fights, you're running from cops, you're selling drugs, you're doing all this shit. It's a regular night. It's just like when you show up to a job. Yeah, I was clocked in.
You didn't know you were going to get shot that day?
No. And the funny part is, we knew deep down inside we're not supposed to walk down that path because at 1 in the morning, there's no lights down there. Unless you have like a gun on you, like you shouldn't be walking out the creek at 1 in the morning because people have been known to get shot and die right there. It's like, historically, it happens all the time.
You and your little brother at this point are still close?
Yeah, we're super close.
Where is he during all this?
At home.
He's just at home. Little guy's at home.
He's a little guy.
And you're taking care of you're taking care of the street stuff.
Yeah.
This wasn't a money thing for you.
Nah, it was a validation thing.
Getting validation from the homies.
It was putting in work. It was like
Yeah.
It was the idea and the work was so I could be a part of. It was to do the work so you could earn your position, so you could earn your place inside, on the inside track. It takes work. There was money plays around, sell this, sell bud, or whatever.
All your self-esteem was based on that. Your whole identity was that.
The whole identity is that. Your whole identity is how I'm gonna match up to my peers.
Let me hear about the second time you got shot.
We were on the wrong side of the city, and we had to get to the other side, and we're like, we're just going to press through all these neighborhoods, and we're going to find our way. And we're just
Who were you
walk.
with?
Me and like 8 homies. We're just a bunch of us. Shaved heads. We're drinking, smoking. We just didn't give a fuck. When you're like that, you don't care.
Did anybody get killed that night?
Nah.
Of your 8 homies?
Nah, I'm the only one that got shot.
David, your brother.
My little brother. Yeah.
Let's hear about that.
I went home one day, and I walked in. It was night. My mom wasn't home. She was at work. And my little brother was there. And he was decked out from head to toe. And all my homies were there. There were drugs everywhere. There was bulletproof vests. There was guns. And we were just getting ready for war. And I was like, whoa, all right. And then I had a talk with the homies. And
What was that talk?
I felt more like this is something I want to be a part of.
You felt this was more draw for you to stop what you were doing and get back into this.
Yeah. And I even told him, I had a conversation with him in my backyard, in my back porch. And we talked, and I was like, this and this and this can happen. So watch your back, and I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I went to the projects and went to hang out there. Got reacquainted with everyone, met all the new homies. I was like, all right.
Did everything go okay for a little while? I mean, what happened?
It was rough.
It was rough.
It was rough. Rough going.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, it was rough going because now I'm doing drugs, heavy.
What drugs were you doing?
Crack, meth, coke. And also, I have to make this comeback. It's the comeback story, right?
So what did you do? What did that look like?
I mean, it's just getting involved, and it's a day-to-day thing. You know, it's one of those things where you show up every single day, you show up, and you're a part of, and it takes a minute to really find your crew. And I remember one morning, after hanging out for a while, one morning it finally happened. It finally happened. Me and this little homie. It was just me and him. It was 6 in the morning, and we were on the BMX bikes. Everyone else was gone. I don't know where everyone else went. It was just me and him, and we kind of looked at each other, and we were just like, "So what you want to do?" I was like, "What you want to do?" It's like, "I don't know. You want to come up?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yo, I know how to steal cars." I was like, "You do?" I was like, "Yeah, I just need a screwdriver." I was like, "Oh, I gotta go. I have a whole tool set. I'll go grab it." It's like, "Cool." We're like, "Let's meet here in 1 hour." In 1 hour, we met at that same location. And from that day, we were inseparable.
When did your brother get shot?
He got shot a year after I went to rehab.
You were sober a year.
I was almost sober a year.
Almost sober a year.
Yeah.
And he was still in the life, obviously.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Well, I was almost sober a year.
Yeah.
And I decided to drink again.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I decided to drink again, that's when I took my brother out to the bar. So we could drink together. So we could get loaded. And then we got loaded. When we were leaving the bar, I was still in that gang mentality, and so was he. And we ran into some guys that are rivals. They were in a car. They left. We thought nothing was going to happen. They come back around. They pull up. They start shooting out the car. A couple minutes later, I turn around and I look, my brother's on the floor. And that's when I ran over and I grab him and I pick him up and put him in the back of a car. My homie's driving like 120 miles per hour. His girl's screaming in the passenger side. I'm holding him in the back. I'm telling him about how many times I've been shot. And his eyes roll in the back of his head. And then all of a sudden we get to UCLA Hospital. And 2 hours later he passes away.
We'll be right back.
There's a simple thing you can do to improve your communication with others. In this video, let's talk about one word you can eliminate from your vocabulary to improve your recovery. Wow, you're probably wondering what that word is, but I'm not going to tell you. Except I just told you, right now. The word that's better left behind is butt. And I don't mean booty or badongadong or behind, but B-U-T. But what does butt really mean? And yeah, can you please just add a butt counter to the bottom here? Thank you. Butt is used to introduce a phrase or clause contrasting with what has already been mentioned. So like, he stumbled but didn't fall. Or I hear what you're saying, but I think something else. What it actually does is say, forget everything I just said, only listen to this part. Which is helpful if you're talking about something that just changed, like it used to be like that, but it's like this now. It's not so helpful when you're talking with somebody though. So if you tell me how you feel, and I say, well, I understand how you feel, but I think something else, I'm really just saying, I'm not listening to you. I don't care what you say. Which is not very helpful when you're trying to tell somebody that you are listening to them, and you do care about what they say. There are two things I do instead. One thing I can do is a hard stop. An example of this would be, I understand what you're saying. I have a different opinion. I believe saying it like that still values what the other person is saying and lets them know that I care about what they have to say. The second thing I can do is change that but to and. So I understand what you're saying, and I think something else. It sounds less like you're wrong and I'm right. It's saying that these two things exist at the same time. You believe something and I believe something, and they're both equally important. So in short, try to use but a little less frequently in your life. You might see some big changes. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed the rest of the show.
I'm Louie Sabatasso, and I'm back with Cesar Silva on Real Talk. So you went to rehab, you got out of rehab, you stayed sober almost a year, decided you were going to drink again, went out, and that night you took your brother with you and your brother got shot.
Yeah.
Did you have to go home and tell your mom that your brother was dead?
Nah, she was there.
She was at the hospital?
Yeah, I remember when she was down there, she was by the doors. And I was up here smoking a cigarette, and I look over to the left, And I remember the doctor just came out and started talking to her, and then she just looked out and started crying. When she started crying, that's how I knew. I knew at that very moment what had happened.
That he was dead.
Yeah. And I tried to run up and give her a hug, but she wouldn't let me.
And how were you feeling at this moment?
Guilty, shame, remorse, regret. Essentially, it came down to the point that it was my fault. I took a drink. We got loaded. I'm the one that ran up to the car.
What was it like waking up with that the next morning?
And I remember I woke up, and everyone was in the house, and I walked into the living room, and everyone was looking at pictures and crying and looking at me, and I was at a loss for words. Complete loss. And I walk outside, and then all my homies are there. So I go and hang out with all my homies in the back. And the whole time I was just outside. I couldn't go inside. I couldn't go inside the house. About like 4 or 5 o'clock I was out. I was like, I gotta go.
Drinking again.
I couldn't be there. I couldn't hang out for that. I had to go get loaded. I had to go get high.
When did you finally get sober after that?
Well, 2 months after David got shot, then I got shot. Then a couple months after I got shot, I went to jail. So then when I got out of jail, that's when they had me on probation. It was so easy. By that time, the judge was already over it. He was like, look, I just don't want to deal with you anymore. Just show up to your probation officer, test clean. You don't have to finish the program, just test clean. You're done. Just not getting into it. He just looked at me, he's like, man, like all this stuff going on, you getting shot, your brother getting shot, sounds like there's something going on in your life, da-da-da. And then finally, that's when they put me in drug court. My counselor had a conversation with me. When he had a conversation, he said, hey, so it looks like there's been a lot going on in your life. You lost your brother, this, that. Starts going down the list, right? Boom, 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 boom. Which is shit that I hear all the time. But what he told me that time was that it didn't have to continue to be this way. That I can change the way that the story can play out. And I don't know what it was at that moment, but I was exhausted, I was tired, I couldn't find any way out, any solution, any kind of happiness. I just kept hitting this wall, right? So he's talking to me, and it was like that little window of hope just kind of opened up at that moment. And when he told me that I can do something different for my brother, that's what I needed to hear. Because I love my brother, you know, and I tried to look out for him. And I always get thrown back to that one moment when I go back to the house and we're sitting on the porch and I'm telling you, I'm looking after you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And I realized that I broke that promise.
That's amazing, all the things that were said to you, that's what finally, that you were ready at that moment.
There's something that I truly believe after being sober this long. I realized that, you know, sobriety is always about doing something for others, right? Well, at that moment, I was doing something for someone else. It wasn't about me.
Your brother.
It was about my brother. In sobriety, I made a commitment to always give back to those younger people in need. And it just kind of always happens. There's always someone young that gets placed in my life, somehow, some way. Whether it's for short term or long term, but it always happens. They come and they go, it just naturally happens. It's reoccurrence. Hey, I got this young dude. I'm like, cool, I'll show up, I'll always show up.
It's awesome. Thank you, Cesar. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching Real Talk with Louie Sabatasso. You can like us or share us or make comments on the show. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.